We give you all, we give you all, we give you all. Come on, say it again. We give you all. Sanbanani. Good evening, Facebook family. I am hurt. I am broken. This pushes me even more to make sure that widows like me get justice. This pushes me even more to make sure that widows who are ill-treated, who are abused by their mother-in-laws, by their sisters-in-laws, by their in-laws holistically, they must get justice. Today I cried. I said, God, if you live, God, if you exist, when will it stop for me? When will it stop? So those of you who've watched the video, who followed the story through from Friday, when I was alerted that my mother-in-law, now just to put you into perspective, remember I've been married twice and widowed twice. And both my children come from marriages. And 2021, it's 12 years since my first husband died, who is the father to my son. And since he died, my father-in-law never married my mother-in-law. And after my husband's death, my mother-in-law made it clear she wanted absolutely nothing to do with me. And when my son was born, she also had no time for him. And she made it clear she wanted nothing to do with me and my son. So for the past 11 years, it's my father-in-law who has been helping me to raise my son, who has been helping me to raise my children. So on Thursday last week, when I was alerted by my father-in-law that my mother-in-law phoned him to tell him that she is going to open his son, their son, my husband's grave, for purposes that she wants to bury her mother over my husband. My father-in-law phoned me crying, and he said to me, Sihle, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. And legally, I have every right. And I said, I don't want. Angifuni, because my son, Umkhanyisi, knows his father's grave. My son, I take him to his father's grave. He knows his father's grave. Just 2 weeks ago, Just 2 weeks ago, when it was Father's Day, I took my son to his father's grave because I take him there every year, 3 times a year, when it's his father's birthday and when it's Father's Day and on the 1st of every January. And I said, angifuni. Umama zala wami ungihlukumeze enough. Umama zala wami. Guys, when my husband died 12 years ago, my mother-in-law tried to keep my husband's death from me. Because when my husband died, I was at home, ekhaya, about to give birth to our first son. And she was alerted of my husband's death, ngingekho mina. And she didn't want me to know about my husband's death. And I found out that my husband had died through his friends, because his friends phoned me to say sihle condolences. And she then decided to completely disregard those friends of my husband who told me of his death. So even at the funeral, for me to be a part of my husband's funeral, I had to get a court interdiction. My mother-in-law had to be served with a court interdiction 12 years ago that told her that the corpse belongs to Usihle. You cannot bury him without her. And if you proceed, we will make sure that we take the body and we leave you with the funeral costs. And that's how I got to bury my husband. She robbed me of closure. She robbed me of seeing my husband. She robbed me of closure because she had already planned the entire funeral without me. And she didn't want me to know my husband died. And mind you, when my husband died, I was pregnant with my son. As a result, my son does not know his biological father. My son does not know the biological father because I was pregnant with my son when my husband died. So the only reason why I was able to attend the burial is because 12 years ago, I had a court interdiction, and which was served to this mother-in-law to say, we will come to the burial and take the corpse because it belongs to me. And that's the only reason why I ended up attending the funeral, because she wasn't going to bury without me. When my son was born, I did take my son to her. Before taking my son to her, she then denied the fact that I was pregnant with her son's child. And she denied the fact that I was even married to her son. As a result, I was subjected to a DNA test when my son was 1 year old. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, myself, we had to go to Lancet Laboratories in Auckland Park because I was subjected to a DNA test. My mother-in-law was saying it's not her son's child. We did the DNA test. Obviously, the results came back saying 99.9% it's my son's child. Now, the reason why she was subjecting me to this DNA test is because she didn't want my husband's death benefits to come out. She didn't want me to inherit anything. So in order for her to stop it, she insisted on a DNA test. Now, everything I speak of, there's documentation to it. There is the letter for 12 years ago. The interdiction is there. the DNA results are there. And when the DNA results came back, she then said to me she wants absolutely nothing to do with me and my son. So for the past 11 years, I've been raising my son by myself with my father-in-law. Even when I got married the second time around, I was raising my son with my husband and my father-in-law. So 12 years later, she decides she's going to open. Now, my husband's grave, my husband's tombstone was, the iliche, the tombstone was paid for by my father-in-law. He put the tombstone for my husband. So 12 years later, she decides she wants to dig up my husband's grave because she wants to bury her mother, who is my husband's grandmother, over my husband. And I'm saying, when you denied me closure, when my husband died 12 years ago, I was young. I was 23 years old. I'm older now, and I have a voice. And let me be the sacrificial lamb for other widows. Let other widows, let other in-laws who are watching this learn from my journey what to do, what not to do. So those who've been following the video, you saw on Sunday, we went to my husband's grave. They hadn't yet dug it at 7 o'clock in the morning. Then by 12 midday, I went to my mother-in-law's house. I was with Boipilo from the foundation and the SAPS, and we served her. We served her with a letter saying, we are aware of your intentions that you want to open my husband's grave. I am not giving you consent. Don't even. This was on Sunday. Today, it's Tuesday. I drove to my husband's grave, and I found that she actually opened the grave site. She opened the tombstone. Now, when we were inquiring from the people at the West Park cemeteries, she was able to get that done because according to her, yes, it's her son. But according to her, her son was never married. So that is why she has the authority to dig open my husband's grave. I cried. Today I cried. And I want to say thank you to a lady. I want to say thank you to a lady. I met for the first time today. Her name is Tandy. While I was at the West Park Cemetery, when I was at the gate, this lady came saying to the securities, I'm here for my sister. I'm thinking, I don't know this lady. Who is this lady? And Boipilo arrived on the scene, Boipilo from the foundation. And this lady came and she's like, Sihle, you don't know me. I don't know you. I've been watching your video from my house and I don't stay far from West Park Cemetery. I'm here to assist you in any way. Oh my God. She came at the perfect time. She was able to drive us to the Sophia Town police station because I was so hysterical. I wasn't going to drive in my state. Tandy, thank you. Tandy, thank you. Thank you. I don't know her, but she came. Thank you, Tandy. We drove to the Sophia Town police station. We gave them the documentation. And we thank God that God is good. We thank God that God is good. Why must it be, Uguti, when women get married and their husbands die, our mother-in-law feel entitled? mother-in-law abaphumuli. I mean, it's been 12 years. 12 years indoda yami ishonile. 12 years. But usangihlukumeza namanje. 12 years later, I was married. Ngashonelwa futhi, but usangihlukumeza namanje. So if you want to know why Kwanele Foundation was born, why we have Kwanele in-laws within Kwanele Foundation, it's because of people like me. I was, and I still am, a victim of abuse, horrible treatment from my mother-in-law 12 years later. So I want to say thank you to Snobile. Guys, Snobile came. Like Snobile, when all of this was happening, Snobile was on the other side of the world. He was in Springs. And as I say, Tandy drove. I don't know her, but she was watching the live feed. And when she heard that I said I'm at West Park Cemetery, she drove straight to assist. Tandy came, Buipilo came, Snobile finally came. Thank you. Ngiyabonga. I will update on other things. Maybe tomorrow, because right now I can't update further. I will go live again tomorrow to update on other things, but women are cruel. My mother-in-law, Unompumelelo Mnwana, is cruel. And the sad thing is that she's a staunch Christian. Ubambi Bible. She hides behind the Bible. Uwenza are these horrible things hiding behind the Bible. She hides behind the Bible. Whether she likes it or not, her son chose me. He married me. Whether she likes it or not, I have a son. Her grandchild, which she despises, which she has no time for, which she has chosen to completely turn her back against because of her hate towards me. I want to say thank you to my father-in-law that till today, he's been there. He's still there. He's my source of strength. I want to say thank you. I updated my father-in-law. He was crying on the phone. He was just not happy. But I am thankful and I'm grateful to God that when not only does my own biological mom not want me because of the fact that I stood out and I spoke against the abuse I suffered at the hands of the pastor that she gave me away to when I was 16. So because I spoke out about that, she doesn't want anything to do with me. She wants nothing to do with me and my kids, my own biological mother. My biological mom is the one that befriended my in-laws and assisted them and said I killed my husbands. So mina ngikhalela kubani? Mina ngikhalela kubani? Mina ngikhalela kubani mina? Who must I cry to izinto ezinje bekubuhlungu nje? Ngikhalela kubani? Because owabo umama naye akafuni ingane zami because umfundisi wakhe uPhilip Banda lo angipha that she gave me away to Philip Banda when I was 16 and I was abused holistically. So because I'm speaking out about it, angifunwa. When my in-laws are treating me like this, who must I run to? So that is why I say, judge me if you want. Criticize me if you want. I have absolutely zero control over how people see me, over what people say about me. My reaction is what matters. And right now I'm hurt. And I'm saying, God, if you exist, God, if you exist, when will I be happy? God, if you exist, when will I be happy? I don't know how it feels to be loved by a biological mom. I don't. I don't even know how it feels to be loved by a mother-in-law. I don't. Kwanele in-laws. Kwanele, this deliberate abuse, this deliberate victimization of widows by their mother-in-laws must stop. The law must stand and speak for us. The law must stand and speak for widows. It's enough. Imagine this is happening to me for my husband who died 12 years ago. Imagine if there's a fresh widow out there whose husband has recently died. Imagine how much more pain they are going through now. Kwanele in-laws, Kwanele. I speak my truth. I publicly speak what I go through out there so that somebody out there may learn what to do and what not to do. I own my narrative. I own my narrative. It is my truth. It is my truth. It happened to me and it's still happening to me. Judge me, say whatever you want, but I own my truth and I own my narrative, and it happened to me. And I say it will not happen to my children. Never. God bless you.